This assignment will count for corrections and a retake on your integers quiz. While you're watching the problems worked out, you need to correct each problem from your quiz. You'll use a piece of notebook paper and you'll copy down the problem with all of the steps. After I explain each problem, you're going to see a problem pop up through Edpuzzle that will give you a chance to show that you now understand how to do that problem. Your goal is to score at least a 70% on this assignment so that you can get up to a 70% back on your original score. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So absolute value, most of you actually did really well on these ones. It's just distance from 0 on a number line. So the absolute value of -1 would just be equal to 1, and the absolute value of 15 is equal to 15. So just remember, for absolute value, your answer will always be positive. Okay, next we're going to be comparing two different values using our less than, greater than, or equal than symbols. For number 3, the absolute value of -5 is 5, and the absolute value of -9 is 9. So we would be using the less than symbol to show that the absolute value of -5 is less than the absolute value of -9. Number 4, the absolute value of -3 is 3. The absolute value of 2 is 2. And so I would use the greater than symbol right there. Okay, for adding, these ones also went fairly well. So if you are doing 6 plus -3, you would start at 6, and then you would move 3 units to the left and end at +3. For the second one, I would start at -8, add +1, so I'd go right 1, and then add -3, so I'd go left 1, 2, 3, to end at -10. Okay, so subtraction, this is where you want to make sure that you are using keep, add, opposite. And so what we will do is rewrite each of our subtraction problems into an addition problem. So I'm going to draw lines surrounding that subtraction sign. I'm going to keep the -4, change the subtraction into addition, and then the opposite of 9 is -9. So I would start at -4, and then add -9, so I would move to the left 9 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I went off of my number line a little bit, but that's okay, I can count. So I've got -10, -11, -12, -13. Okay, we'll do the same thing for 10 minus -3. I'm going to draw some lines around the subtraction, keep the 10, change subtraction into addition, and the opposite of -3 is +3. So then you would just be adding +10 plus +3, which would be +13. All right, 9 and 10 are both multiplication, and so this is where you'd want to do same signs is going to equal a positive, and then different signs for two numbers would equal a negative. So then I would just multiply 7 times 4, which would be 28, and then a positive multiplied by a negative number is a negative number, so we'd get -28 there. On number 10, I'll start by doing -2 times -5, which would be +10, and +10 times -3. I have a positive times a negative, which would be negative, and 10 times 3 is 30. Okay, now we're going to divide. The rules for division are exactly the same as what we just wrote down for multiplication, and so we can go ahead and copy those rules over to the screen. Okay, so two of the same signs when you divide would give you a positive, two different signs when you divide would give you negative. Okay, we will do 12 divided by 4, which is 3, and then a negative divided by a positive would be a negative. Number 12, we have 18 divided by 6, which would be 3, and then a negative divided by a negative would be a positive, so we'd leave it at positive 3. Okay, these ones are where a lot of you started to really have trouble, and I think it's because we're maybe not using order of operations. I got a lot of questions during the quiz about whether or not to use order of operations. You always use order of operations if there's more than one operation that you're doing. Okay, so number 13, I'm actually going to look at this as -4 divided by -2. So we know we should divide before we subtract. So I'm going to do -4 divided by -2, which would be +2. And then 18 plus 2 would just be 20. Okay, on number 14, my choices are adding or multiplying. I'm going to multiply before adding. And so we'll do 10 times -4. 10 times 4 would be 40. And then a positive times a negative would be negative. So I'm going to be doing 20 minus 40. So if I start at 20 on a number line and take away 40, I'm going to end up in the negatives. We could also go ahead and rewrite it as 20 plus -40 if we do keep at opposite. So when I do that addition problem, I'm going to end up at -20. Okay, continuing on with order of operations, we'll just do a quick little reminder up here. I'm going to put M and D in parentheses with arrow going left to right, addition, subtraction, arrow going left to right. Okay, on number 15, my choices are adding, dividing, or multiplying. Multiplying and dividing, those are going to come first, and we're going to go in order left to right. So I will do -15 divided by -3, which would be +5. I'm going to bring down everything that I haven't used yet. Now I'm going to do my multiplication. 5 times -1 is -5, and then 5 plus -5 would just equal 0. All right, number 16, this one has pretty much at least one of each of those different categories. So we're going to start with parentheses. 1 minus 2 would be -1. And then I'm going to bring down everything I haven't used yet. So I'm going to work backwards so I've got enough room. So 2, 4 times 3, 5 squared, and the addition. So I know a lot of you are a little bit resistant to writing out your steps, but I promise you it'll help you keep track of what you've done and what you still need to do. Okay, we did parentheses. Now we're going to move on to exponents. And for my exponent step, I'm going to do 5 squared, which is really just 5 times 5. 5 times 5 would be 25. And then we'll bring down everything else we haven't used yet. Minus 4 times 3 plus 2 times -1. And I'm going to just change it and use the multiplication symbol instead of the parentheses for that one. By the way, the reason that I didn't do anything else with the -1 in parentheses is because there's not anything to do in the parentheses. That's just notation showing that we're multiplying 2 by -1. Okay, we did parentheses, we did exponents. Now we're going to do all of our multiplying and dividing in order left to right. So we will do this -4 times 3, which is -12. Bring down 1 plus 25 plus 2 times -1. Okay, we still have some multiplication to do. So we'll do 2 times -1 next, which is -2. bring down what we haven't used yet. And now we're on to the addition and subtraction. So we're still going to be going in order from left to right with all of our addition and subtraction. Okay, so we'll do 1 plus 25 to get 26. 26 minus 12 plus negative 2. If you want to put parentheses back around the negative 2, you can to be a little bit more clear. 26 minus 12 is 14, and 14 plus negative 2 would be 12. Okay, so a problem like that, just go one step at a time, try to keep your work really organized, and you'll be able to get to your final answer. All right, getting close to the last ones. How would you represent negative 3 plus 8 on the number line? You are always going to start at whatever the first number is. So I can immediately get rid of the ones that say start at 8 because negative 3 is that first number. When you add 8, you are moving in the positive direction. You're moving to the right. And so option D is what you'd want to choose there. Okay, and last one. How would you represent the, let's just say the expression, negative 5 minus negative 7 on the number line? So this is subtraction, and we're going to use keep add opposite to make this a bit easier to know what we're doing. Okay, draw my columns. Negative 5 plus the opposite of negative 7 is positive 7. So we're going to do negative 5 plus 7. We know that we need to start at negative 5. So I'm going to cross out both of those. Plus 7, adding 7, we are going to be moving to the right again. So this one would be your correct option. Okay, check your score after you're done, and if you got at least 70%, then your quiz score will be improving to 70%. Thanks for completing this assignment.